All right. Today we are in the Empowered Birth Studios with my dear friend Laura. She is an amazing fertility specialist when it comes to helping women who are 35 and over get pregnant. In fact, one of her clients, she had told me this story, got pregnant within 2 months, and she was going to go on in vitro fertilization. So, I just was blown away by this, and I had to bring her in because, as older moms, we often get told, well, you're not going to have your chances of getting pregnant. It's one in 10. And, if you've already had a traumatic birth and this is your second or your third baby and you really want that do-over, you want to get pregnant as fast as possible so you can plan that empowered birth and get that amazing true natural birth experience. And Laura is the first step. So, Laura, thank you so much for being here. And can you just introduce yourself and tell everyone what you do and how you got into this and who you help?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Carly. It's great to be able to share some of this work. I'm a somatic coach and a functional nutrition practitioner who specializes in helping women 35 and up address hormone imbalances naturally. Now, sometimes hormone imbalances can look like insomnia or fatigue or bloating, and fertility challenges can come with this territory at the same time. A lot of these different symptoms build on top of each other and create different levels of imbalances that contribute to our ability or difficulties to conceive naturally. So today I wanted to talk about how we can increase fertility naturally by improving full body health and all our different systems that affect hormones. And also just a way to think about it in terms of we're going to avoid wasting time and money unnecessarily. So I'm talking to you today so you can kind of hear how some of these things come together and how you can accomplish both of these things. So in functional nutrition, we're really looking at getting to some root causes, sort of understanding what's at the bottom of all of these hormone symptoms. Like, why is this happening? So you can address them and increase fertility naturally. We know that our bodies are designed to work well and have our hormones balanced throughout our lifespan. And when we're supported naturally, we can conceive at a later age over 35. I had my child at age 35, and I was shocked to learn from the medical establishment that I was considered geriatric at that point, right? It seems so crazy that this is true. Or in other traditional non Western cultures, women have been able to conceive at later ages with more ease than we have here due to many different factors. But we do know that it's possible to conceive over age 35 and in your early 40s. We can look at all the different pieces that contribute to this and how we can identify root causes with functional testing. So what happens just at the beginning is, we're handling all these different stressors in our 30s and 40s, right? We have all these different pieces that contribute to difficulties in our stress handling management system. So we have our usual commitments like work, relationships with partners, kids, parents. Our bodies start to feel the brunt of the shortcuts that we take in our self-care with things like not eating balanced meals, maybe because we don't have enough time, we're kind of rushing through that step. Or maybe we're eating leftovers from other people in our household. We're not getting enough sleep, right? Sometimes we cut corners because we're getting things done, but we're still getting up early, staying up late, maybe to have some me time, some private time. Maybe we're not getting enough exercise or movement in our days, right? We're working at the computer, we're watching TV at night, we're trying to rest, but not really moving our bodies in the way that we're meant to be moving. Or maybe if we're like a competitive sort of fun runner, we might be getting too much exercise and stressing your body out so that your body doesn't have kind of the ability to start to repair some of those systems that get damaged with too much exercise. And also as women, like we take the stress in and sometimes don't express ourselves as much as we might, right? We might bottle up our emotions throughout the day. We might bottle them up throughout the week, and we might end up feeling a little out of touch with our bodies or out of touch with our emotions. And maybe we might need some nutritional supports, but not really know what to take. And so we're kind of randomly taking what our friends have suggested. But all of these stressors can really pile up and they become what's known as the chronic stress cascade. So this is a little bit of understanding how this happens in our body or even what's happening in our body. So we have this chronic stress cascade where it kind of starts oftentimes with emotional stress and maybe loss of sleep. Our adrenal glands are affected. And our adrenal glands help us with energy. They help us with our stress response, and they also help us with blood sugar regulation. And over time, they kind of run out of steam. They get tired, they're barely hanging in there. And so it can be more difficult to have blood sugar regulation that's working properly. And this is affected by stress and also by our diet and by sugar and by refined foods. But when the blood sugar system is off, it starts to affect our hormone regulation. And that is not something that we're taught in our either education or from doctors. Like we're not taught that this can happen, but this is kind of a direct correlation. And an additional issue is that with this kind of stress, the gut can become imbalanced. So our microbiome becomes off. So some women will have a very low kind of beneficial bacteria in the microbiome, which makes it really hard. We can develop something called leaky gut, which can increase inflammation. And this inflammation hits our hormones. And then it's kind of a vicious cycle because we have this inflammatory thing happening in the body that's hitting our hormones. And then that is kind of continuing the stress response in the body. And it just keeps going around and around. When the gut is disturbed, it opens the door to food sensitivities and inflammation and autoimmunity. And all of this further disrupts your hormones. And this starts to affect the thyroid gland. And then we can have autoimmune antibodies to the thyroid, which further impact fertility and make it hard. So the key here is to decrease stressors in as many systems as we can at the same time. So the body has a chance to heal everywhere in a holistic kind of a way. So again, we're working on increasing fertility naturally by making the whole body healthier and looking at all of these systems simultaneously. One of the big things that I see, right, when people are frustrated and having difficulty with fertility is they are kind of trying everything that their friend said or something that comes in an email, and they're kind of randomly stabbing around in the dark and guessing with this trial and error process, which can go on for years and years and years. So what I'm proposing and what I do with my clients is we really focus on saving time and energy by doing functional testing. And this testing really gives us a way to look at root causes and to look at them at the same time. And one thing that I do that's different from other practitioners is a lot of people will test one thing at a time, kind of like at a doctor's office. Well, we'll test this, we'll test your blood sugar, and then we'll test this. And it doesn't necessarily give you all of the biggest needle movers at the same time, right? So I do a slew of foundational tests all simultaneously so we can look and see, okay, wait, this is kind of off and we could spend time on that, but this is a bigger needle mover over here. So let's prioritize and see what the biggest ones, see which systems are the most concerning. And then we can start to focus our diet and lifestyle choices in that area. So it really helps us prioritize and choose how to go forward. So I start this process of increasing fertility naturally and avoiding wasting time and money by testing for hidden stressors. These stressors include hormones, your immune system, digestion, detoxification, how we produce energy in the body, our nervous system, and our oxidative stress. And when we have all this information, we can start to piece together the different pieces of the puzzle, right? We can look for like what's happening with your health and how do these pieces come together. And then we can pick a few of these areas as levers to rebalance the whole system. A lot of times with doctors, they're trained to look for diseases to diagnose. And most of the time, they're not looking at imbalances. They're not trained in looking at imbalances. They don't know how to rebalance a system holistically. And we know that having trouble with fertility and conception is an imbalance that can be corrected when the body as a whole is supported with nutrition and lifestyle. The steps, we remove the hidden stressors, we put mind-body supports in place, and we're supporting you from the inside out as well as from the outside in. So I wanted to share a case study story that Carly had referred to. It's a really interesting story because it kind of points to how these small changes can make a really big difference when it comes to fertility. She's a 40-year-old and she wanted to have a second child. She had been getting acupuncture for about 8 months prior to seeing me, and it wasn't really helping. She was eating very well, but she had a sweet tooth, really liked cookies and chocolate in the afternoon. She's also an avid runner. She didn't need to watch her weight, so she wasn't really concerned about this sugar, like that she was kind of having little snacks, and she wasn't really concerned about it because her weight is fine. And her blood work looked good too. So from a medical standpoint, her blood sugar was fine. But because she was having this sugar kind of craving, and also because when she didn't have it, she had symptoms of hypoglycemia. So we could see that she needed to eat more frequently and to kind of balance out her blood sugar. But it would be better to do that with whole foods rather than with sugar products. So I asked her to stop eating sugar for about 2 months. She had a little trouble with that for the first month, and then kind of got into the groove of it after her husband offered to do it with her. So it can really help to have a partner or a friend kind of joining you in that process. And they also really enjoyed kind of unwinding with a beer or a glass of wine in the evenings. It wasn't every day, but what we do know is that alcohol is essentially liquid sugar. So if you're trying to balance out your blood sugar regulation, it can be really helpful to cut out alcohol as well. And it also is hard on your liver and it's hard on your body. So I asked her to make those changes. And I also discovered that she runs for fun, but often runs marathons and was training. So I asked her to cut back on some of her rigorous exercise and go more into yoga and to sort of fun runs that were shorter and just kind of lighten up on some of those stressors for her system. And also, she had been taking kind of a random supplement that one of her friends had suggested. And while that might have been a good choice, it was also something that could be converted into testosterone. So it was actually changing her hormone levels, and we really needed to kind of bring that back too. So I had her stop taking that supplement, and we just went into the functional testing and looked at what she needed from there. So it was highly individualized, and we did give her some other supports. But the big lifestyle changes were right there with blood sugar regulation in cutting out sugar and alcohol. So the main interventions for her were those. We also looked a little bit at caffeine because that can disrupt the same system. And, we gave her some prenatal supports and she had some really great success. She was age 40 and she got pregnant within 3 months. Another thing to think about with her is that she was headed for IVF. She had made an appointment and she gave me the date and she said, it's totally fine, whatever happens. This process with you is either gonna increase my fertility and make this work naturally, or I'm gonna go into IVF as a much healthier human, and that it will make the chances of that working more successful. And that is a really, really healthy outlook, right? So that you're decreasing the stress on your whole body by kind of knowing that you're rebalancing your health. And also this kind of process of increasing your own health will support your hormones going forward, even after having a baby, right? Being healthier now will also help you have a healthier baby. And it will also help you going through changes that come in the future with perimenopause and menopause. So there's never really a bad time to get your hormones rebalanced and to do some of this work naturally. So getting into the how, there are 5 or 6 different pillars of my program. And this is how I do it. So the first pillar is functional testing. Most of functional practitioners say, test, don't guess, right? Test all the body systems that can contribute to hormone imbalance, and then understand a functional interpretation of your results so that you can know, like, what does it mean? How do I balance my hormones? So we talk you through that. I create a protocol for you that's called a DRESS protocol. So it covers diet and food, rest and sleep, exercise and movement, mind-body stress reduction, and appropriate supplementation. And all of this is something that you can start right away. A lot of times when women are told that they have an infertility problem, they can't get help from the medical system for a whole year. Like, you have to be trying for a year. And then, you can sometimes get the medical support that you need. You can get testing and things like that. But sometimes they won't approve for insurance, won't approve testing until it's been a whole year. And it's a very different kind of testing. It's not looking at how can we optimize your health, which is what functional testing is. It's looking again at very specific pieces and diagnosing a specific problem. Pillar number one is all functional testing, understanding the results. These tests are non-invasive tests that you can do in your home. You get a kit, you fill it out, you do the different things. Those results get kind of sent back by the lab, and then we go through an interpretation and figure out what happens next. Pillar number two is detoxifying your body. So you want to focus on avoiding plastics because there are plastics that actually mimic our hormones and they take up receptor sites in the body that are meant for our natural hormones. And instead of that, we have these things coming from plastics that are sitting there. And that can be part of what's interfering with our fertility process. And most people don't know that. Most people don't realize that, we have actually chemicals replacing our hormones, and that's why sometimes things aren't working. So I encourage people to find healthier alternatives to personal care products like lotions, like makeup, like bug repellent, like all the things that we just spray on our skin. Because another thing that people don't know is that our skin is an organ that is one of our biggest elimination organs in the body. And we're frequently clogging it up with chemicals, right? So this makes it really hard to detoxify your body if you're just slathering on chemicals every day. So that's another thing that's kind of an easy place to start. Just look at, well, what am I putting on my body? Because a lot of times we don't even really know or read the ingredients. Pillar number three is balancing hormones. So we talked about this a little bit with blood sugar regulation and avoiding sugar and alcohol, but when we get deeper into this process, we look at the results of our functional tests. I have people map out their cycle with a specific kind of a test, and then we get a lot of information about what's happening in the first half of the cycle, what's happening in the second half of the cycle, and how we can really look at those hormone levels and support them in the way that they need to be supported. We get a picture, like a clear visual picture of what's happening in a kind of a graph format that comes with the testing that can be really helpful to see with the levels on it. We can also get information about thyroid health and antibodies that I mentioned before. And this is a real issue because most of the time, doctors don't check a full panel for the thyroid. They just check one thing. And they don't even check for antibodies at all unless you have a history of that in your family. So it won't get approved by insurance because maybe, we don't know if your grandmother or your great grandmother had that problem. But it can be a key thing for fertility, and it's also highly affected by stress. So a lot of people can be walking around with these issues without knowing it. So we can actually get some information, some data from your body that can really help grow your capacity for, fertility and conception. Pillar number four is mind, body, emotional balance. So we also know that emotional processing is kind of key to our stress levels and key to fertility and kind of having a feeling where you're feeling close to other people, you're feeling this kind of oxytocin burst, right, which helps you bond and kind of have that nesting feeling, and that really helps with increasing fertility. I have people start to reduce stress and do some kind of appreciation of things that are happening around them, kind of looking for the glass being half full instead of half empty, which really helps you feel that oxytocin and that bonding hormone. Pillar number five is mindset, kind of encouraging the view that our bodies know how to do this, right? Our bodies are healthy, our bodies are balanced, right? We can balance our bodies, and we might need some tweaking, but our bodies are magical, and they know how to do the work that they're designed to do. So we can encourage this process with our minds and how we use our thinking also. We also can use the tools of reframing and restoring, right? Reframing our stressors, reframing our past stories, and really looking at the lessons that we want to carry forward into our families and bringing them with us. So mindset can be something that's actually really helpful for relationships and for everything that you're doing, but it really encourages stress reduction and how we connect with our mind-body connection. So to get started right away, you could pick one of these areas to address yourself and start rebalancing your body. So one thing to try could be reducing refined carbs and sugar. Another thing would be detoxifying your body by replacing some of your skincare products with something healthier, or doing a couple of mind body practices to reduce stress. And one of them that I really like to help people with in terms of getting better sleep is something called the 4-8-8 breath. So you're breathing in for 4 counts, you're holding your breath for 8, and you're exhaling for 8. And when you do this 5 or 6 or 7 times, it starts to conk out your brain. Your brain sometimes has these thoughts that just circle around and around and around. It helps your brain kind of conk out a little bit so that you have a chance to kind of get into a different space and go to sleep. This also can help if you have a lot of people kind of talking to you during the day and kind of getting in your head. So this is something that you can try right away to help decrease stress and awareness of your full body. And if you want to work with me, it's pretty easy to connect. I have a free gift called 7 Steps Your Doctor Didn't Tell You to Increase Fertility, Conception, and Joy Naturally. And you can get it by going to lauraindigo.com/fertility. You can also just email me, right? It's laura@lauraindigo.com is my email address. So I look forward to hearing from you. And yeah, it's been really great to share this information with you. I hope to get it out there.
Laura, this is amazing. And some of this stuff I had no idea about. I mean,
Hmm.
some of it made sense because when I was dealing with a lot of stress, it was harder for me to be able to even deal with my birth.
Mm.
So, a lot of the things that I teach about for pregnancy and birth also kind of ties into fertility. See how it all ties together? When you really look at it, like we are tied to nature and the natural cycles. And Laura, you've really embodied this. And I love your pillars. And I love how, like, there's this idea that when you go to the doctor will tell you what's wrong and why you can't get pregnant. And they have that idea again that you're broken and that something's wrong with you. But really, it's our lifestyle and it's things that we've just been taught that don't serve us. I'm now curious about my cosmetics. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't wear a lot. I only really wear lipstick and eyeshadow, but now I'm going to be looking. And I'm going to be like, okay, what's got plastic in it? What am I going to be eliminating? Because I mean, I'm 38 now, so I need to be thinking about this. And I definitely want to be able to get pregnant right away once I start trying. So this is amazing. This is fascinating. Like I just I want to get this guide too. I'm very curious what you've put in it. So thank you so much for being here. Is there any
Yeah.
last little tip that you want to leave them with?
I think really just when you are getting ready for kind of like a fertility and also really wanting to make a more holistic experience in your body, it can be really important to try some of these things in different categories, right? So a lot of trouble that I have a lot of difficulty with some people who really don't want to make changes in their diet, even if it's for a month or two. It's really hard. Like sugar, alcohol, it's like those are comfort things, and it can be really hard to give them up. And you don't always have to give them up, but there may be some ways in which you need to shift a little bit, right? And so if you shift in one area in a big way, that might have all the impact you need. Or if you shift, like, say, 80% in a bunch of different areas, then that might be enough to make it shift. I think it's a lot to expect your body to rebalance with only small tweaks, right? So if you really decide, hey, I'm going to go for it for 3 months, a lot of programs that functional practitioners run and also that I run are 3 months long. I have a 3 to 6 month program, so I give people a window in order to kind of make some changes over time. And it's helpful to try things in some of these different categories. So the toxins and the stress reduction and mind body practices have the chance to make a shift really quickly. So it's not always easy, right? It's not always an easy process, but sometimes the tweaks are small. I mean, it might be that you need to make a change, but if you make a change in a sort of decided amount of time and just go for it, then you get better results. So really picking some things that you can commit to and then really going for it and seeing how it goes. But it really works better. The way that we are saving time and money is really with the functional testing, because that testing tells us what to pinpoint. And so, yeah, sort of the full package can give you a transformation. So I would encourage people to try a bunch of different things in different areas of their lives to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you on that. As you know, when I talk about my book and everything, we talked about the 5 pillars, and I have mine as the right mindset, which I think is one of the most important key points to really get into the fears and the beliefs that we have that actually keep moms from having the true natural birth experience, keeping them from getting pregnant, keeping them from being able to have the beautiful, empowered motherhood that they really want. Because you're told, oh, once you're a mom, you have to give up your dreams. Once you're a mom, you're going to be sleep deprived. Once you're a mom, you're not going to be able to go on that vacation with your partner. Your relationship's going to fall apart. All of these things. And really, once you get that mindset under control, that's when you're realizing, oh, this is the thing I need to work on. This is the education I need to get. This is the environment that I need to be able to thrive. These are the people that I want to learn from. This is the partner that I need. This is how I need them to support me. These are the friends I need. So it all comes down to my 5 pillars, which again, anybody who wants to know about my book, Your Empowered Birth, it's on Amazon. And Laura, again, can you just let everyone know about your guide again? It's lauraindigo.com at
/fertility.
fertility.
Yeah.
lauraindigo.com/fertility. And that will
Yeah.
get you this amazing guide. It's going to tell you all the things that your doctor is not telling you, or has forgotten to tell you, or probably doesn't even know about, when it comes to helping you get pregnant much faster, so you don't have to spend all that money on IVF for it to possibly not work, or stress yourself out, pumping yourself full of all these hormones, trying to get things going, or just stressing yourself out, just trying all of the things that you've been told in these emails. That I've seen this. I've seen how difficult and stressful this is. I mean, I was able to get pregnant fast because I understood how my body would work.
Mm.
And by following that fertility, which again, I had to look for, like, now that I understand about the blood sugar levels and the plastics, I'm going to be paying attention to that too. So, Laura, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. No, this is awesome. So this has been the Empowered Mom Show. Again, if you want to follow more of these videos, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I also have an Instagram channel. So you just go to @EmpoweringMomsBirth. You can go to my website, empoweringmomsbirth.com. And if you, for any chance, forget where to get Laura's stuff, or you've been watching this video and then it's like, I don't remember which one it was that I was watching, always you can reach out to me, Carly @empoweringmomsbirth.com. I'll point you in the right direction. All right. This has been the Empowered Mom Show. I'll talk to you soon.